Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Quarantine Leadership Series. I'm Cameron Corder, and the series we really try to inspire, engage, and motivate you in the job that you do. And today we're joined by a friend I've gotten to know with over the last 4 or 5 years. I've heard him speak multiple times, Bill Severns. Bill's a retired professional baseball player and is also a retired businessman, long career in business, and right now has an organization that he runs called Keepers of the Sandlot, or something, the Keepers organization that he does that's trying to improve youth sports. And so that's why, Bill, I thought it would be great to have to talk to our Y family and just our youth sports community. So thank you for joining us.
Well, Cam, you know how appreciative I am of the opportunity, and especially to speak to the Y family. The YMCA. I grew up in the YMCA. Learned how to swim there, played racquetball there. We had back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had there was a room full of cots, so we could all take a nap when we were in business. We'd play and then take a nap and then go back to business. And my mother swam at the YMCA all of her life, so she loved we're a big YMCA family, and really appreciate and love what the Y does.
Great. Tell us a little bit about your organization that you founded, now an author and founder of this organization. Tell us a little bit about that and the mission of that organization.
Okay. Well, the Keepers of the Sandlot is the name of the first book I wrote. So it's keepersofthesandlot.com. And I had a little bit of an interesting story growing up. I always wanted to be the next Mickey Mantle, and like most kids in Oklahoma, and obviously, most people remember Mickey Mantle, who he was, one of the great Yankees. And so I just always dreamed of being the next Yankee center fielder, number 7, blonde hair, blue eyed, and whatever. And I would get up every morning in my neighborhood in Tulsa, and I had a paper route. So I would throw 120 papers at 4:00 every morning, from 7th to 12th grade, 365 days a year, just dreaming of that day. And but there was a friend of mine, and he where we picked up our papers every morning, and he would always say, if you'll buy the donuts, I'll buy the donuts if you'll drive over to the store and get them. So I went and got a bunch of donuts every morning. And long story short, by the time I got to high school, I might have been a little chubby. I went and I tried out for the high school baseball team. Long story short, I was cut the first day out, and that was in 10th grade. So my dreams were dashed at that point in time, but the high school coach said he wanted to see me the next day. And so I'm real big on coaches, and coaches giving people hope. And at the Y, this works too. If you can go one-on-one with somebody and give them hope, not to give up and quit. He told me, he goes, we knew we were going to cut you when we saw you, which I don't know what he meant by that, but I maybe, like I said, I might have been a little chubby, but I thought I had a pretty good day. And he said, but you didn't play football and nobody knew you. So, and you didn't know there were going to be 100 guys out for baseball either. It was a big 6A school.
Yeah.
He said, but I don't want you to quit. He said, so don't quit. He said, but do us a favor. Go back and maybe get in a little bit better shape, and come back next year. So I told my mother in the last year she was alive that was probably the biggest day of my life, most important day of my life, because he told me not to quit and not to give up. And she said, yes, it was. She said, you would have gone away. And so I went and told the guy buying the donuts the next day that he'd just gotten a raise because I had to quit eating donuts. So I went from like 12 a day to 10 to 8. You can't
like smoking, like stopping smoking. Yeah, you cut it back.
Cold turkey, but in some of my writings and some of the things I say, we all have something that's holding us back. Everybody has a donut. And for me, that was what it was. And so I quit. I went and told my buddy he was gotten a raise. I got in shape. I went back. Psalms 37:4-5 says, delight yourself in the Lord. He will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your ways to him, and he will make your path straight. So my life really didn't go down the path I thought it would go down, or what God, God's plan was for me. But the next year I made the team. My senior year, I made All-State in Oklahoma. I knew that's what I wanted to do, was play ball, whatever. And somebody asked me in a speaking engagement one day, they said, what did that do to your self-esteem, when you got cut? And I said, well, nothing really. I just knew they'd made a mistake, So I went on the next year. I made All-State my senior year, and I got a scholarship to go play at the University of Oklahoma. And we were fortunate enough to win 4 Big 8 titles. We went to the, dating myself a little bit, not the Big 12 anymore. Played in 4 College World Series, and then was drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers and played for them for 6 years. So really, God did give me the desires of my heart. I had a great career. I got to play for a long time. And then for the next 23 years, I coached my sons, and loved every minute of it. Probably enjoyed coaching them as much as I enjoyed playing, is the only way I know how to say it.
Yeah.
And one night, in my 22nd year of coaching, I was coaching third base, and we're playing another team. And the kid that played third base for the other team, I'd loved him. I'd watched him play all his life. And he had a beard when he was like 6, just, hey, coach. I said, good, Nick. Good to see you, Nick. How you? He goes, Coach, I love this game, man. I love this game. And I said, I know you do, Nick. I said, you remind me a lot of me, Nick. And first ball hit to him, he missed it. He just, it's tough hop. And the coach in the third base dugout went off. And I mean, he lit him up. And it really scared me. I had never seen a coach go off like that 20 feet away from me. And I had never said anything to another coach in my whole life. But I looked over at this guy and I said, hey, stop it. I pointed at him. I said, this is a great kid. I said, I don't know if you know him or not, but how well you know him. And I didn't know I was talking to his dad. So the next ball hit, blocked it with his chest, and he threw it 40 feet over the first baseman's head. And the coach guy went off big time, yanked him out of the game. And in my heart, I heard, okay, write your book. Because I was thinking, we're supposed to be the keepers of the Sandlot. That time where a kid gets to play. We're supposed to be the protectors of that time, not the ones that put fear in them like this guy's doing. So right then, standing there in that third base box, I knew I was going to write a book to help parents relax and enjoy their kids. And, we have 12 grandchildren. We have 4 children. And I don't know how that happened so quickly.
Yeah.
And I knew that I had a lot of friends in pro sports, pro baseballs particularly, that could help me write the book, because a lot of them were directors of scouting of big league teams. And they helped me because I just wanted to prove to parents they are not at Little League today. And the other thing is your kid is probably not going to play in the big leagues. Okay. But if that's God's plan, then the odds just went way up. If it's not, probably may not happen. So it's just a book to help parents relax and enjoy their kids. And it's been a very, very fun ride. Been very successful because of the route that I went down. A lot of dads kind of need to probably listen to me and the guys that I know. That Ned Yost was a teammate, manager of the Royals. George Brett, our kids played together. Gary LaRocque, director of scouting of the St. Louis Cardinals, on and on. What I did is I called in a whole bunch of guys to help me prove that, you really don't know what the plan is for your kid just yet. So just enjoy them before they're gone. So that's kind of the overall, in a nutshell, what I try and do.
So I want to get to parents. I'm going to get back to parents, but one of the challenges I think in our Y world, most YMCAs do youth sports. Mm-hmm. And what we continue to hear is now it's hard to find volunteer coaches, the youth sports coaches. And I think some of it is because of that parent in the stands just that pressure. So what advice would you give to YMCA staff or just recreation staff, whoever's listening to this? How would you go about doing a better job at recruiting coaches and talking parents into volunteering more?
Well, the second book I wrote, which was called The Sandlot Strategy, deals probably more with the YMCA community type reach. I believe that every parent, what I tell them, your kid just wants to be with you. All right. They don't care. They don't care what you know about the game. So I address that in the Sandlot Strategy, because a lot of dads say, well, I didn't play, so I'm not qualified. And I'm saying, yeah, but you're the dad or the mom. You are qualified. So nothing should stop you from knowing really that the one thing that your kid wants is you. I mean, I coached a lot of kids, but I wasn't their dad or their mom. That's what they wanted. And from the YMCA staff position, you just need to understand as a staff person, there's a whole bunch of kids that are looking up to you, need you, and they just want your time. I mean, really, I don't care what the sport is or what they're doing. To a kid, time is everything. You're not going to be anything more than you're filling this gap for them for a while, giving them hope, just like my coach did, giving them hope, almost everybody everybody does have a story. And when I do a speaking engagement, almost to a person, they'll come up to me and go, let me tell you my story. They said, first of all, your story is full of people that helped you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the guy that saved me, and that can be anybody. It can be a YMCA coach, just somebody that saw somebody that needed somebody. So it's not a very tough thing to understand that every kid needs somebody. And I think that's what I love about the YMCA people I've met. They are so into what they do. They were called to be YMCA staff. It's a calling. It's a ministry.
Hey, I'm gonna go off script, and I hope I give you the right prompt. The favorite story of mine is you shared about the boy in right field who at the big game, parents wanted you to take the kid out of right field, but then later in life things happen. Do you know what story I'm referencing?
Well, I think you might be telling the story of Mike Hughes. And Mike only got a couple hits every year for us. And a couple of the dads came up to me one day and said, there's a couple that we need to kick off this team. And I said, really? Yeah. I said, am I looking at them? I said, we're not kicking anybody off this team. And an interesting follow-up to that story is Mike Hughes was one of my all-time favorite guys. And I wrote in my first book on page 6 that I loved Mike Hughes and I was never going to cut him. And his parents loved me because I never did cut him. And I write in there that I said, maybe one day Mike Hughes may go be a doctor or something and figure out something that saves my life. Well, Mike Hughes died this year at age 41. He was a cancer research doctor, and he had I have his obituary over here in my files because it's just the most amazing story of a young man. But his mother said, you never gave up on Michael and you always told him to swing the bat. And that really helped him with those math professors at Stanford that were so difficult. But he graduated magna cum laude in bionuclear medicinal engineering from Harvard School of Medicine. And she said, you just taught him never to quit swinging. And in his last 2 years of life, he wrote about the cancer that he had, and they researched it. And I don't know how many lives he saved. So, and I was always thinking, can't hit, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an amazing kid.
Such a great opportunity as a parent, I think, or as a volunteer coach to understand coaching basketball, baseball, volleyball is just a small part of it.
Yes, sir.
We've got such a great opportunity to impact the rest
Yeah.
of their life, not just the 10-week season or whatever it's at.
Yes, you do, Cam. And I think that's why you and I are hit it off so well. And John and Ghouls now and Michael, the guys all over the country for the YMCA. I do have one quick story that you wouldn't have heard yet, but last summer, one of my friends came up to me and he goes, "I have a problem." I said, "What's your problem?" He said, "Max doesn't want to play baseball anymore." Now, Max was 14 and he had coached him all his life. And it's kind of like he's coming to me with, "What do I do? My son's gone astray." And I said, "What does he want to do?" And he goes, "He wants to play the bass fiddle." And he said, "What should I do?" And I said, "Get a bigger car." I said, "They're huge." And so anyway, that 3 months later, Max got a $38,000 a year scholarship to play the bass fiddle at some school of music up in Ohio. So, they don't give those kind of scholarships in baseball, but
Not now.
Isn't that a great story? I just love it.
Yeah, that's tremendous. That's tremendous. So as we kind of get to the close, a couple things. If a parent's listening to this, what advice would you give to being a good youth sports parent? Not necessarily being the coach, but how to be a good youth sports parent.
Well, first of all, I would tell them to cherish every moment they have. Just cherish every moment. Sit there and watch them and sit on and keep, just cheer them, yell the good stuff. Don't yell the bad stuff. Second thing I would say is just be there for everything. From Marcus Allen to Frank White to the guys that I've talked to or heard of in the past, they said their moms and dads were front and center for everything they did. Just be there. And they were classy and they didn't yell. They let the coaches coach and they, did that. And obviously have fun for me is huge. We had so much fun doing, what we did. And I think lastly, just support whatever your kid wants to do. If they want to play the bass fiddle, go get a bass fiddle, get a bigger car, and they will love you for it. And one of the things that comes out in the Keepers of the Sandlot is that a couple of my friends said, we never expected our kids to play in the big leagues. That was never an issue. We just supported whatever they wanted to do. And to this day, they thank us for that. And I just think that you just have to support your kids, what they want to do, get behind them with everything. And they will love you for that. And you'll have a great time. You're going to have tough times, but that's what being there is all about. Be present for that. Don't back out and not coach and miss being there and being able to do what you can do.
Yeah. My 27-year-old daughter this week just ran the Boston Marathon, and we spent time going up there to support her. And you talk about it going fast. And that's what I shared with her. I would do anything to go back and watch her play sports again and be in the car rides together and coach her little teams, youth sports teams, but because it goes by like that. I mean, and so you're so right.
The last chapter of the Keepers of the Sandlot is called The Ride Home. And for a lot of parents, I think that's where it kind of falls apart. You overanalyze, you think about it, you chew them out, you talk to them, you ask them questions. And we've got Olympians on the DVD that we did. They would just try and fall asleep in the back seat so they didn't have to listen to their parents. Well, then the rides home where we dropped our kids off at college and drove away, when you drive away and for the last time, you just don't want to have any regrets.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to regret that you just messed it up, and you can't mess it up if you're there. You can't stop time though, just like you experienced. I mean, I can't imagine, watching her run down to the Boston Marathon, coming down the street,
Yeah.
One of my daughters did run a 12K or a half K or whatever that is, 13K. And I saw her coming down the street and she was chewing everybody out. She was mad at that thing. And I said, "Come on, sugar, keep running," and she finished. But so I experienced a little of that, but man, don't miss any of it because it goes by quick and you just don't want to have any regrets.
The 5 most important words for a parent and their kid is, "I love watching you play."
Amen, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to have a little fun on the last one. 6 years in the Brewers organization. Who's the hardest pitcher you've ever faced?
Uh, a lot of people, I say Doyle Alexander, who pitched for the Tigers. He threw butterflies up to the plate. I I couldn't have hit him with a rowboat oar. I would say that the one that I was the most nervous about was Frank Tanana, who was a left-hand pitcher who threw 100 miles an hour left-handed. And so Tanana and Doyle Alexander. But, you know, when you see these guys, and you see a lot of it now, they've learned how to change speeds. It's not a matter of that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. It's that 62-mile-an-hour floater. Yeah. It's a tough thing. I actually think Doyle Alexander felt sorry for me looking at me, because I thought he was going, buddy, I don't know what you can hit. I just don't know. So anyway, Doyle Alexander.
Well, I just remember him at the end with the Braves, and he looked like a 40-year-old grandfather out there pitching then. So, yeah. So,
you look
he did
at
not
him
look like the professional athlete.
No, and you look at him and I'm gonna kill this guy, and you don't even touch him. It's a lot tougher than people think. So anyway,
Bill, thanks for sharing your stories and your passion for kids, and I hope it resonates with you that get to watch today. I hope you'll share this with your friends. I hope you subscribe to the channel and keep looking for more quarantine series. And I hope most importantly that you continue to lead with love. Bill, thanks for joining us again today.